There are those that have been paid to protect people in power. There are those that have committed really heinous acts. And the president of the United States has gone out of his way to protect this information from ever reaching daylight. I do think part of the shutdown was in regard to this, but you can't shut it down forever. And eventually the truth comes to light, and eventually you see it for what it really is. And so the Epstein emails, key takeaways from 20,000 pages of newly released files, convicted sex offenders said Trump knew about the girls and called president a maniac. Again, I don't think there's, we're not shattering any new ground here. I think we're just reaffirming what we've probably always believed.
Yeah.
The public discourse of more than 20,000 pages of newly released documents related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein has reignited a long-running scandal over his relationship with the rich and powerful. Democratic politicians released 3 emails obtained from Epstein's estate saying they showed Trump may have known more about Epstein's crimes than he publicly acknowledged. The president's team struck back, saying those files were cherry-picked, and Republican reps followed up releasing a much bigger cache of files. So here's what we know so far. Epstein said Trump knew about the girls. I'm sure he did. He's kind of said as much on his Air Force One. Democratic members of the House Oversight Committee said that the emails they released raised serious questions about Trump and his knowledge of the Epstein horrific crimes. In one of the emails dated January 2019 and sent to columnist Michael Wolff, Epstein said of Trump, of course he knew about the girls, as he asked Ghislaine to stop. Interesting. Trump had previously suggested that Epstein stole young female staffers whom he hired away from the president's Mar-a-Lago country club. Epstein's former friend and aide, Ghislaine Maxwell, now serving a 20-year prison sentence for sex trafficking, including procuring girls and being sexually abused. So, why do you ladies think, and that includes you, Jen, you're a lady too, why do you think, I'm breaking your chops, why do you think that Ghislaine is getting first-class treatment right now and potentially going to receive a pardon?
I don't think she's going to.
You don't think she's going to get a pardon? I don't know what to make of that. I'm actually surprised that she's still alive.
I agree.
So that's that. But the information's coming out regardless. Like, it's not like they're going to be able to control it at this point. I think it's coming out. I just don't think it matters. I think Trump can do anything at this point. It doesn't matter. The people that hate him, and the people that like him, and nothing that comes out about him is going to change. Like, I just don't see that it matters. But I, again, would like to point out to people that it's very creepy and weird to me that at Mar-a-Lago, that there are teenage girls that work in the men's locker room. I find that creepy and weird. So I don't see how anybody under the age of 18 is being employed to be in that type of environment, to be in a spa. I think it's inappropriate, but that's just me.
The other revelation, well, I don't know if we're getting to this later, but the fact that Epstein, there's confirmatory evidence that Epstein was an Israeli asset and that they were looking to, he was exchanging emails with, I think it was Dershowitz, right? Or was it? It was someone where they were talking about.
No, Ehud Barak.
Oh, right.
Oh, that was Michael Wolff. The Michael Wolff.
Okay. Like talking about blackmailing Trump, which is further evidence. Like, even if you take the Michael Tracy approach and you're like, well, no one did anything wrong. The fact is that they were trying to use this stuff. So even if it wasn't a crime, or there was nothing wrong, like they thought it was, and they were trying to get blackmail on, on people like Trump. I think that's a pretty big deal. That's arguably the biggest part of the story.
Nobody has to work that hard, though. Have you ever noticed that? Have you ever noticed that all these psychopaths and sociopaths, like, it's not hard to get junk on them because they're so depraved and disgusting. Yeah. If somebody were to offer me underage people, it's not like I'm going to be like, oh yeah, well, since you offered, yes, thank you. It's so the fact that these people are so easy to blackmail, because really they have to participate voluntarily. Yeah. That's what's so disgusting.
That's my sister was talking about that yesterday. She was asking me, she's like, of course, obviously I genuinely believe, I don't think that most people, do I think every person that went there was like screwing kids? No. But here's the thing is that there were things, and this was something that was brought up by Daryl Cooper. It's been brought up by Whitney Webb. It's been brought up by pretty much everyone that has ever done a real deep dive on Jeffrey Epstein. It's that he's into really weird shit, and not like weird stuff like, oh, I don't know, he's like when I think like weird stuff, I think like, I don't know, maybe you've got like a dolphin in like a small fishing tank outside. Like that's weird to me. Like, why would you do that? That's cruel. But I'm talking about weird stuff like you having this the Abramich chick that was from Ukraine. She's like the artist where she's doing the spell casting dinners, right? And they have the models come in and they're depicted as if they're dead people, and then people are coming by and they're making smorgasbords out of them and they're eating off of them, right? Spirit cooking dinners, that's what they're called. He's got the art all up on the wall of like, naked children turned around, and maybe some of them are like dead babies, like piles of dead babies, like an art picture of that. That's weird.
No, he should sell that to Van Jones. They should auction that off to Van Jones. Van Jones apparently really likes,
dead babies.
Dead babies. Yeah. If I walk into somebody's house and they got dead people that I'm supposed to eat off of, I'm never going back there. And here's the thing. Whatever you think about Bill Gates' ex-wife, what's her name?
Melinda Gates.
Melinda Gates. She said she went to that island one time and said, these people are effing weird and I'm never going back.
I think that's why they got divorced.
Yeah. Yeah. Because she's like, there's something wrong here. There's deep, dark spirits here, and I'm not going to go there. And much respect to her. And this is the thing is that nobody thinks that when people think about like Bill, nobody associates Melinda Gates with Jeffrey Epstein. Everybody actually associates her with rejecting that, right? So these people could have saved themselves. It's not like, oh, I went to the island one time and I'm forever tainted. No.
Well, that's the thing. How many sick people? Like, it's amazing how easy it is to blackmail these people, like how depraved they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Once you climb the ladder high enough and you think that you're untouchable, like Peter Thiel, who apparently had a very close relationship with Epstein, you basically just run out of things to do, which is why when they talked about Pizzagate way back when, is it possible that the Clintons were involved? Anything's possible. Do I think that there are child sex rings that run out of Washington, D.C.? You bet your ass I believe there are. And this is just another example of how when you see the rich and powerful, with rare exception, ever bite the bullet, literally and figuratively, when you always get away with it, why would you stop? If you think that you're untouchable, you will simply continue. So let's continue the story and on to the next topic. Epstein saw Trump as a dog that hasn't barked. In another 2011 email, Epstein alleged to Maxwell that Trump had spent hours with one of his victims but had not spoken about it. I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. In her reply, Maxwell says, I have been thinking about that. The White House later alleged the victim was Virginia Giuffre, who killed herself in April. Well, that's what they say.
Yeah, I like how it's in red, though. That's sort of like air quote to me. I'd say it's like an air quote thing.
The email did not suggest why Trump would have spent time with Giuffre. A dog that hasn't barked is a phrase sometimes used to suggest the absence of something is more significant than its presence. Although its meaning is not entirely clear in this case. Trump responded to the files on his Truth Social platform, accusing Democrats of trying to bring up the Jeffrey Epstein hoax again, to deflect from government shutdown in which political divisions left the federal government in disarray for weeks. You mean kind of like how they were not rightfully swearing in a congressional representative that was on the hook for 2 months? How they also he was basically trying to strong arm Lauren Boebert and Nancy Mace, who of course are political opportunists of the highest order, but they see Trump's star is fading, so they think it's safe now to not have to listen to everything that he says. It is so obvious that he's guilty of what I don't know. He's not the only one, because I know the Democrats would just love for this to all be about Trump. but it sure as hell is not. It's a very bipartisan effort. Your thoughts, ladies?
Yeah, well, I agree. Number one, I actually think that this shutdown was part of an effort to get people out of the offices. I've seen a large number of Republicans now apparently do an about face, and now they're all about releasing the files. Something tells me that that's not organic. Something tells me that there were perhaps some things scrubbed, perhaps some things, sifted through while everyone was at home on furlough. When you are able to send the entire federal government home, there's lots of dark deeds that can be done when there's nobody looking, right? So again, I agree with you 100% that that's what this shutdown was about, because nobody knows what the hell was actually, there's actually not been a good reason. The budget was already approved in September. There's literally no reason why the government should have been shut down for the last month and a half. And yet it was. So,
I assure you it's not because they care about our health care.
No, I would agree.
Can I just say something that I see really quickly? I'm sorry. So it's interesting how they're talking about Virginia Giuffre and how she killed herself. But I see right here, it's Epstein who died in jail. Who died in jail. I just think that's very interesting. Like, why?
Do you guys think he's dead? You think he's dead?
Yes.
I could go.
You do?
Nothing would shock me, but I definitely don't think he killed himself.
Remember
right?
the old.
Yes.
That
He
I
didn't
know.
kill himself.
Right. Yeah. I'm where you're at. If it came out he was alive,
I wouldn't be shocked.
I wouldn't be shocked. Somebody mentioned earlier in the chat the Fort Bragg cartel, right? So I just finished reading that. Seth Harp, great book. I live in Fayetteville, North Carolina, very close to all of it. So I was fascinated by all of it. But he brought up this character, don't hate me, guys. First name is Muhammad. I don't remember the last name. Egyptian guy who just happened to be fluent in Hebrew for some weird reason, right? Of course he was. Who was convicted of participating in the 93 World Trade Center bombing.
Okay.
Then he's let go. You guys know who I'm talking about? He's let go. Then he shows back up again with, Egyptian intelligence, and he's linked to 9/11. He's then put into the prison system and then just disappeared. And anytime anyone has tried to locate him for the last 15 years, they're like, well, we can't find him. We don't know where he's at.
It has always been suspected that Mohammed Atta was intelligence. I heard that for years. That's something that came out like right after it happened. Mohammed Atta is allegedly the pilot of American Airlines Flight 11 that crashed into the North Tower.
So Atta is the one who they found his passport. That's actually not the Mohammed that I'm talking about. There's another Mohammed who Seth Harp talked about in his book. And no, this guy was arrested. He was actually charged with terrorism related to 9/11, but he just gets disappeared into the prison system. And I find that very convenient, and I don't know how conspiracy theory, your crowd is probably not nearly like mine, but it is interesting to me the way that it does seem a little convenient where we get these accounts. Like you've got the Las Vegas shooting, right? The brother of the Las Vegas shooter, all of a sudden he gets popped for kiddie porn. So he gets thrown into the prison system. Apparently now he can't be located. Now we've got this distractor for, the guy who, George Zinn, who is with the Charlie Kirk shooting. Again, guy stands up, says, I'm the shooter, gets arrested. He's not the shooter at all. And
somehow was in downtown Manhattan on 9/11.
He's and he's got kiddie porn on his phone. Well, what do you know? So now no reporters have any access to him to ask him, why the hell did you stand up and say that you were the shooter and that you wanted to help the guy get away? And he's just going to be lost again once into the federal prison system. So I think that's a thing. So again, I am surprised that Epstein would just be killed. why not just disappear them the way they disappear everybody else?
I thought that originally, but then I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I could see it either direction.
Number 3, Epstein despised Trump. Epstein, who died in jail, supposedly, in 2019 at age 66, had a sour opinion of Trump in the years before his death. I have met some very bad people, Epstein wrote in an email in 2017, none as bad as Trump, not one decent cell in his body. In other messages, Epstein described Trump as a maniac, showing signs of early dementia. Well, now it doesn't look so early anymore, but we'll continue. Number 4.
Can we have a non-demented president?
Apparently not.
This economy in the history of the world. Yeah, right now, greatest economy ever. Number 4, Prince Andrew kept ties with Epstein longer than previously thought. I'll rush this real quick. The emails have cast further doubt on Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's account of when he cut ties with the child sex abuser, as well as his denials about meeting his accuser, Dupre. We can skip this one, Colin. Let me see what other ones are available. Number 5, emails put Trump biographer Michael Wolff in the spotlight. A New York author, Michael Wolff, totally not a Zio, has written 4 books chronicling Trump's political career, including his 2018 bestseller, Fire and Fury, Inside the Trump White House, which drew pushback from the administration. Wolff has known Epstein for years, and the financier was a source for his books on Trump. The writer has previously said he has dozens of hours worth of interview tapes of Epstein talking about Trump. Of the 3 emails released by the Democrats on Wednesday, 2 included exchanges with Wolff, including the one where Epstein says Trump knew about the girls, putting the high-profile writer in the spotlight. One email sent by Wolff to Epstein in December of 2015 said that Trump might hang himself in an upcoming CNN interview on what relationship the then presidential candidate had previously maintained with Epstein. I think you should let him hang himself. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the House, then that gives you a valuable PR and political currency. You can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you. He added, of course, it is possible that when asked, he'll say Jeffrey is a great guy and has gotten a raw deal and is a victim of political correctness, which is to be outlawed in a Trump regime. You mean like right now how he's going to the Knesset and saying that Netanyahu's totally misunderstood. You need to give him a pardon. Totally give him a pardon. It all adds up as far as I can see.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I also think that we're kind of glossing over what has been being dropped by Dropsite News, right? I do think that some of this, again, conspiracy theory a little bit, is covering up for the fact that Dropsite News has been dropping some of the most important reporting of the last decade, I would say, which is proving definitively that not just that Jeffrey Epstein was an Israeli operative, but that he was, in very many cases, he was pulling strings. He was pulling actual strings. He was pulling together actual arms deals for dictatorships in Cote d'Ivoire. And he was pulling strings in Uganda. He was, again, we already know that Israel is all over Africa. They have their fingers all over blood diamonds and conflict in the Congo, precious minerals everywhere. And I do feel like some of this has been a distraction from Dropsite's unbelievably important. And that's what Janine was talking about earlier, was the Ehud Barak emails, which is what we've been seeing. And I think that Dropsite even reported something new today, although I haven't read it, so you guys forgive me on that. But Janine, what do you think?
Well, yeah, I would say that that's probably the most interesting part of the story, at least from my perspective. I mean, the fact that the Israeli government is basically running a blackmail operation in the United States and getting our politicians to do their bidding by running sort of sex, or anyway, working with someone who's running sex rings of underage girls. I mean, this is really, really shocking stuff. This sounds like if you told me I'd be saying this 5 years ago, I would have been like, no, that's like a crazy person in a loony bin. I would never think that. And then, I mean, over time, you just look at the evidence and you realize like, this is actually what's going on. I mean, it's the only explanation. It's the only explanation that makes sense, given all of the evidence we have. And it also sort of explains why we have politicians running cover for Israel, despite the fact they've committed one of the most horrendous genocides, I would say, in modern history. I don't like to compare genocides, whatever, but I mean, the war crimes that were taking place and are continuing to take place before the world's eyes, and yet our politicians are defending them. I mean, it's really shocking. It's something like out of a thriller that you would hope would not be real life, but it is real life.
Yeah, I think, and well, it's like, okay, so now what we're saying is we have the evidence, right? Like we have the evidence because in reality, many of us have been saying for years, and certainly a lot of people over the past couple of years, that clearly our entire government is compromised. Clearly all the branches are compromised by a Zionist agenda, among other corporate agendas. But like, let's just say we've known this, that they're compromised. And so, okay, so now let's say we have proof. So now what?